Far beyond the familiar stars of their home system, deep in the endless stretches of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Zelthari fleet floated in silent watchfulness. Known throughout the galaxy for their strength and advanced technology, the Zelthari prided themselves on being unmatched explorers and warriors. Their sensors suddenly picked up a strange energy pulse, a signal unlike anything they had ever detected before. It was not the usual radio chatter or starship traffic. This was something different, an old, powerful pulse that seemed to ripple through space like a heartbeat from a forgotten age. The scientists and commanders grew curious and puzzled. Trying to trace the source of the signal, their instruments led them to a region they called the Outer Fringe, where no known life or ships had been detected in centuries. As their scanners focused, they caught sight of a lone battleship massive. Heavily armored and oddly shaped compared to the sleek aerodynamic vessels the Zelthari were used to. This was a human ship, but not like any they had encountered before. It looked like a relic from Earth's distant past, a time when humans first reached out to the stars with determination and boldness. Yet, despite its old-fashioned design, the ship radiated strength and resilience. Its hull shining with polished metal, shields glowing softly with a quiet but unyielding power. The Zelthari commanders studied the ship carefully, exchanging glances filled with a mixture of curiosity and confidence. They were sure this was no threat. The humans were known only by stories and old records, primitive compared to the vast empires of the galaxy. Surely this lone ship was lost, outdated, or easily outmatched. Without hesitation, the Zelthari War Council began to prepare their fleet, assembling a group of swift attack ships to confront the intruder. The air on their flagship crackled with anticipation. This encounter would be simple. A quick demonstration of the Zelthari's dominance and the human ship's inevitable surrender or destruction. Orders were given calmly but firmly, weapons charged and ready. Yet beneath their confidence, a strange feeling stirred, an unspoken question about the true nature of this human battleship and the secrets it might hold. As the two forces closed in, space around them seemed to hold its breath. The unknown lay ahead, and the first contact between these ancient humans and the proud Zelthari was about to begin, changing everything the galaxy thought it knew about power, survival, and the spirit of a species long underestimated. The human battleship, despite its age and unfamiliar shape, moved steadily toward the Zelthari fleet, cutting through the darkness of space like a silent giant awakening after centuries of rest. From the eyes of the Zelthari commanders, watching through countless sensor feeds and holographic displays, the ship was a strange sight, a massive and imposing fortress. It's covered with an array of weapon systems that blinked with cold precision. It was a stark contrast to the smooth, sleek lines of the Zelthari vessels, which were built for speed and agility rather than sheer bulk. Yet there was no denying the quiet power radiating from the human ship, a silent warning that it was far from defenseless. On board, Commander Ellis stood firm on the command bridge, calm but alert, knowing every moment brought them closer to an encounter that could change everything. With steady hands, he sent a clear, carefully crafted message through the universal communication channels, a greeting wrapped in peace but edged with the certainty of readiness. "We come in peace," the message said simply, "but we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary." The Zelthari officers received the transmission with a mix of surprise and respect. The calm confidence in the human voice was unlike the desperation or arrogance they had expected from what they assumed was a lost relic. Still, their training urged caution. They could not afford to underestimate this mysterious visitor, no matter how unusual the situation seemed. After a tense discussion among the highest ranks, the Zelthari commanders made a bold decision: they would allow the humans to dock on their flagship. This was not just a diplomatic gesture, but a calculated move to assess the technology and intentions of the humans directly. The humans' willingness to communicate and their confident stance suggested something deeper, something worth understanding rather than destroying on sight. As docking protocols began, the air on the Zelthari flagship thickened with tension and curiosity. Officers and scientists alike gathered around their stations, eager to witness the historic first steps of this unexpected meeting. Meanwhile, on the human battleship, the crew prepared carefully for what might come next. Their ship, a testament to human engineering and perseverance, had survived countless challenges, but this encounter with an alien power was unlike anything they had faced before. When the docking clamps finally locked, a narrow corridor extended. Between the two ships, a fragile bridge connecting to very different worlds, Commander Ellis and a small team of diplomats and engineers stepped forward, fully aware that every gesture, every word, and every move could decide the fate of both their species. The atmosphere was heavy with silent questions. Would the Zelthari welcome them as allies, or would suspicion and fear lead to conflict? Would the humans find common ground in this strange and ancient race, or would they remain forever strangers, locked in a galaxy too vast to share? As the humans crossed the threshold onto the Zelthari flagship, the eyes of an entire fleet were upon them, watching, waiting, wondering what this meeting would reveal about the strength and spirit of a species that had been all but forgotten by time and what that meant for the future of the galaxy. Inside the vast command hall of the Zelthari flagship, a quiet tension filled the air as humans and Zelthari faced each other for the first time, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity, caution, and cautious hope. The humans, led by Commander Ellis and his delegation, began to share stories of Earth, how their planet had been a place of constant challenge, where natural disasters, rival tribes, and even massive wars had tested humanity again and again. Yet through all these trials, the humans explained, they had survived and thrived not because of brute strength alone, but through the power of their minds, their willingness to work together, and their unyielding determination to find new ways to solve problems. The Zelthari listened, their faces, though alien and unfamiliar, showing signs of surprise and admiration. Their own history was different. They had risen to power through dominance, conquest, and military might, believing that force was the language all civilizations must understand. Hearing about the human approach based on unity and creativity challenged many of their assumptions. However, despite the respectful tone, the room was not free of doubt. Some Zelthari elders exchanged wary glances, whispering among themselves, unable to fully trust these strange newcomers who spoke so confidently of surviving dangers the Zelthari had never faced. Unseen by the humans, certain factions within the Zelthari began preparing quietly for a possible betrayal or battle, their soldiers readying weapons and reinforcing their defenses. The humans noticed this subtle shift, the slight stiffening of posture and quiet murmurs, and understood that trust would not come easily. Yet neither side wanted to break the fragile peace just yet. This uneasy balance created a charged atmosphere where every word and gesture held weight. Commander Ellis chose his responses carefully, emphasizing humanity's desire for friendship and cooperation while making it clear that their strength is not to be underestimated. Slowly, a cautious respect began to build, a recognition that, despite their differences, both races had survived by adapting and fighting for their place in the galaxy. Still, beneath this emerging respect was an unspoken question hanging in the room. Could these two very different civilizations truly find a way to coexist, or was conflict inevitable? The answer remained hidden in the tense silence that followed. As both sides waited for the next move, the next word, knowing that the future of this first contact would be decided not by weapons, but by the fragile bridge of understanding they were trying to build together. Tensions inside the Zelthari flagship reached a breaking point when a rogue warlord, driven by pride and the need to prove his strength, secretly ordered an attack on the human battleship without the Council's permission. His fleet surged forward with speed and aggression, hoping to catch the humans off guard and crush what they still considered a relic of a weaker species. Alarms blared across the human ship as the incoming strikes threatened their shields, but Commander Ellis remained calm and collected. With a steady voice, he commanded his crew to prepare a tactical demonstration, a precise and controlled display of the ship's true power that would not lead to unnecessary bloodshed. The humans, trained through centuries of conflict and innovation, unleashed a series of surgical strikes that targeted the Zelthari vessel's engines and weapon systems with incredible accuracy. One by one, the attacking ships were disabled, drifting helplessly in space but left intact, a silent testament to the humans' control and restraint. The Zelthari watched in stunned silence, their confidence shattered as they realized the battle was no longer certain or simple. What they had assumed would be a quick victory turned into a lesson in human ingenuity, where intelligence and precision defeated raw power. Eyes widened in disbelief as the human battleship moved like a ghost in space, striking hard and fast, then slipping away before a counterattack could form. The display was not just about firepower, but about strategy, innovation, and discipline, the very qualities that had allowed humans to survive countless dangers on their home world. Among the Zelthari leaders, respect mixed with fear. They had underestimated the humans and paid the price. The rogue warlord's failure was clear, and though no lives had been lost, the message was unmistakable. Humanity was not to be taken lightly. This moment shifted the balance of power in the room and marked a turning point in the fragile relationship between the two species. What had begun as suspicion and doubt now grew into a reluctant admiration. Commander Ellis stood firm, not as a conqueror, but as a representative of a people who had fought hard for survival through skill and determination. The Zelthari knew that future encounters would never be the same, and a new chapter in galactic history had begun, one where humans had proven they were more than myths and legends. They were a force to be reckoned with, the fragile peace that had begun to form between the humans and the Zelthari shattered suddenly when a rogue Zelthari warlord, driven by pride and the desire to prove his dominance, ordered an unauthorized strike against the human battleship. His small fleet launched a surprise attack, hoping to catch the humans off guard and crush them before the larger Zelthari council could intervene. Alarms blared across the human ship, but Commander Ellis kept his crew calm and focused, refusing to let panic spread. Instead of returning fire in anger, he chose a measured response, tactical demonstration meant to show strength without needless destruction. The human battleship responded with a display of controlled power, unleashing precision strikes that disabled key systems on multiple Zelthari vessels in rapid succession. Engines sputtered and weapons went offline, leaving the alien ships crippled. But untouched in terms of crew casualties, the Zelthari watched, stunned and silent, as their plans for a quick victory crumbled before their eyes. What they had expected to be a swift and easy conquest turned into a clear lesson in human ingenuity and discipline. The humans moved with efficiency and precision, striking hard where it mattered and retreating before the Zelthari could regroup. It was a dance of strategy and technology, not brute force. For the Zelthari leaders, the shock was profound respect, mingled with a rising fear as they realized they had seriously underestimated the human race. This was no simple relic or lost explorer. This was a formidable opponent with a history of survival built on brains as much as brawn. The rogue warlords' reckless gamble had backfired, and though no lives were lost, the message was unmistakable. Humans were not to be trifled with. As the disabled ships floated powerless, the Zelthari commanders exchanged grim looks, understanding that future encounters would demand a new respect and caution. Commander Ellis stood tall on the bridge, his calm command a reflection of the human spirit, steadfast, resourceful, and ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. This moment marked a turning point, shifting the dynamic from suspicion to wary admiration. The Zelthari had seen firsthand that human strength was more than muscle. It was in their innovation, their tactics, and their unwillingness to be defeated. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, watching as two great civilizations took their first real step toward understanding and possibly alliance. Forever changing the balance of power and the story of survival among the stars, after the display of strength and careful diplomacy, the atmosphere aboard the Zelthari flagship shifted dramatically. The elders of the Zelthari Council, once proud and sure of their superiority, now looked upon the humans with a new sense of respect and recognition. They saw not just a ship or a military force, but a people whose courage and creativity had carried them through dangers that few could imagine. This recognition was more than symbolic, it was a turning point in galactic history. With solemn words, the Zelthari extended an invitation to humanity, offering a place within their galactic coalition, a chance to join forces, share knowledge, and protect the vast reaches of space together. The humans accepted this offer, knowing that cooperation was the key to survival in such an immense and unpredictable universe. Commander Ellis, standing quietly on the bridge of the battleship as the stars stretched endlessly before him, felt the weight and promise of what had just begun. This first contact, filled with tension and uncertainty, had grown into something far greater, a bond between two very different but equally determined civilizations. He knew that humanity's true power was not the impressive technology they brought or the firepower of the battleship itself, but the unbreakable spirit and will that had built it, the relentless drive to explore, to understand, and to overcome. As the ships prepared to travel together into the unknown, Ellis allowed himself a rare moment of hope and pride. The galaxy was vast, and challenges lay ahead, but for the first time in a long time, humanity was no longer alone. The story of their future was just beginning, and it would be written together with new allies and new possibilities. Bound by respect, courage, and the shared dream of peace among the stars,